The Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power, may actually be the greatest marketing blunder or marketing blunder performance art ever to exist in the history of humanity. Every single thing released about this project has been an absolute disaster. Every trailer, every so-called superfan screening explanation of why they love it, everything has just failed on every possible level. And honestly, at this point, I'm actually appreciative that Amazon would sink $500 million in the first season of this show just to make something that visually might look great, but actually seems like the worst thing ever created. Now, I've mocked the teaser, I've mocked the trailer, I've mocked that superfan video, and I've mocked the casting and all the interviews surrounding this that emphasize the diversity, the obviously pay-to-play situations that are going on with reviewers related to the show. But the second trailer, the second official trailer, not the teaser, is just an abomination. It is horrible in every possible way. It takes all of the worst elements of the other trailers, generic dialogue, jacks it up to 1,000, and then adds in a crappy pop song that is totally inappropriate, that legitimately has actual lyrics that say, "Speak your truth." We're gonna go over this, we're going to laugh at this, we're going to make fun of this, but before we do any of that, we have a sponsor, so we're going to toss it over to the sponsor, and then we'll discuss this on the other side. Disaster can strike when you least expect it. Ask anybody who survived through an earthquake. Ask people who were in Houston when Hurricane Harvey struck, Katrina and the people of New Orleans, or just the people of Texas when that frost hit and knocked out everybody's power. You don't want to be one of these people who's waiting for rescue with no way of taking care of yourself. This is one of the reasons why I'm happy to partner with GetASurvivalKit.com, because this has everything you need to get yourself through the first 72 hours. And it all comes in a lightweight, compact backpack that you can store in your car or you can store in the front of your property so you can grab it and go in an instant. There's medical supplies in here. There's a ration so that you can have food. There's also lights. There's also a portable radio so you can have information, and warmers so that you don't end up freezing to death. Everything you need in this compact case. And the great thing about going to GetASurvivalKit.com is that if you do so, because you're members of my audience, because you're a listener of the podcast, you can get 50% off. 50% off for all of the things that are in this pack in a compact case, and peace of mind. Can't beat that deal. So first of all, it is hard to not notice the like to dislike ratio. By the way, if you don't have the plugin that lets you see likes versus dislikes on YouTube, you definitely need to get it, because it's running at around 300,000 dislikes to 30,000 likes. Again, this is a show with a $500 million budget for its first season. It's The Lord of the Rings. It should have everybody excited, and yet they're at 10-to-1 ratios on their trailers, and this is the second trailer, so you think they could re-edit, maybe reposition how the series is going to work in order to present it in a more positive way, or a way that people actually like. You would think with marketing blunder after marketing blunder, somebody and Amazon's marketing team might actually say, can we cut this in a way that maybe the fans won't absolutely hate it? But instead, they decided to throw in some crappy pop song, and I really hate this, because anytime you have something that's kind of set in the past, that's kind of older, you really need some orchestra music in order to go with it. Making this the most generic trailer with the most generic song ever is not really living up to what this series is supposed to be, which is the most expensive television series ever, and one of the most popular IPs ever, and since they bought the rights to the Jackson movies and the original Lord of the Rings trilogy, a prequel to the Hobbit movies and the original trilogy.
My brother gave his life hunting the enemy. His task is now mine.
So we open up with my girl Galadriel.
I've seen a lot of talking about my girl Galadriel.
Yeah,
talking about how her brother gave his life hunting the enemy, and she takes the sword out of his corpse. So already we're opening up the series by replacing a male character with a strong female lead. Just so you know, this is the message that we're dealing with. Galadriel is our point of view character. She is the one that we're going to be focusing on, and she's so perfect, so stunning, so brave, and her brother died, so she has to take up arms and take his place, because it can't possibly be that maybe, you know, she's a different person. She just has to do what he was doing because he's a warrior, and a crap warrior at that, because again, he died. Pathetic. Loser. Not into it. No, you did not mishear that. No, that wasn't me editing in a terrible feminist pop song into the trailer. The lines of the song are legitimately "Speak your truth" in a thing that people are criticizing for being woke, infused with left-wing politics. They chose a song to accent this trailer that has lyrics that say "Speak your truth." Speak your truth. Again, speak your truth. I don't even need to go on with the rest of this video. I could just leave this right here. I could just put that down on the table just so you know where they're going with things in the Lord of the Rings universe, in the Amazon TV series. But who is making these decisions? Again, totally inappropriate to have a more modern song in a fantasy genre, especially something that's taking place in the past. It doesn't work. I wouldn't even like it if I thought the song was good. It just doesn't fit. You want something that feels like it exists more in the time. And I understand that music is more modern than whenever you do a period piece that goes far this back. I understand it's a fantasy world. I get that. But we just associate in our brains something more orchestral with the time period that it takes in, and it really is just so out of place and so embarrassing. And you could tell that this is marketed toward a 14-year-old blue-haired feminist, or a first-year freshman blue-haired feminist who's like, yeah, Galadriel, speak your truth, girl, speak your truth. So we also have the epic showing of the characters. You have Galadriel, my girl Galadriel.
I've seen a lot of talking about my girl Galadriel.
Walking into frame all epic and trying to look at the camera but not look at the camera. Then you see a human character do that, and then you see the dwarf character do that. This is something that's very generic. It's not something that trailers haven't done before, and I don't like it, where they're showing off the characters, but I'm not going to pin this to the Lord of the Rings specifically. This is just a pet peeve that I have overall with trailers. And by the way, for those of you out there on the internet.com who are going to say, Sean, you gotta wait for the series to come out. Obviously, the series could be good. Obviously, that could be the case. But it doesn't look good from the trailer, and this video is about the trailer, so I'm talking about the trailer. If the movie or the show or whatever comes out good in the future, then I review it and I say, wow, this was better than the trailer. Then you could have the answer to your question about the trailer versus the movie or the show. But this trailer is generic as hell and embarrassing in their music choice, and there's a lot of things that go even beyond generic to make it look unwatchable. So people have been reporting that this character, for those of you who are listening on Apple's podcasting platform or on Spotify, appears to be a non-binary twink, is actually Sauron. This is the villain of the Lord of the Rings, according to those reports. Now, I've heard other reports saying that this is a completely different character, but it still is just not something that seems like it fits in this universe. I don't like it. I'm not on board with it. We don't need to have these people in the show looking like this. It's not intimidating if this is a villain and this person's face is too angular to be a hero. No, just get him out. Put him in something else. Put him in your other crappy adaptations or your other crappy reboot or whatever, but don't pollute my Lord of the Rings with creepy twink looking people like this. And I'm sure the actor is a fine person. It's not a knock against them. It's just the part that they might be cast for, according to certain reports, it's not a good fit. And I think we can say that and acknowledge that without attacking somebody personally. So I hope this person, they, is doing quite well in their life.
Each of us, everyone, must decide who we shall be.
I really, really can't stand the generic lines in the trailer. It's just not good. Cut it out, please, for the love of God. Hollywood overall, not just Rings of Power. Again, this is not a criticism of just the Rings of Power. Calm down. Also, about the CG, I talked about how it looked a little rough in some areas in the earlier trailers. There are some instances where shots do look better here, but it still looks like an over-reliance on CGI. One of the reasons why the original Lord of the Rings trilogy looks a lot better than the Hobbit movies is because they blended CG and practical effects seamlessly, and although the armor and everything looks really expensive, like it actually costs money for this show, the CG creatures, some of them just don't look as good as I was hoping for, and considering this is set to be released and they've already sent out screeners to reviewers that were designed to make those reviewers give them positive reviews, you would think that the CG would be impeccable. $500 million on the screen, you would think that they would be nailing it in every regard.
One thing we can do, better than any creature in all Middle-earth, we stay true to each other. with our hearts even bigger in our feet.
I'm sorry, what?
With our hearts even bigger in our feet.
Oh.
With our hearts even bigger in our feet.
Oh.
With our hearts even bigger in our feet.
Oh. They have a line in there that says the non-hobbit hobbit's heart is even bigger than their feet. And then the guy is looking directly in the camera as he delivers this god-awful line. Did I really need that said? Again, a visual medium. You have all the money in the world. Show, don't tell. Show me that the hobbits have big hearts. But whoever was looking at this, whoever was like, hobbits have big feet. You know what is often associated with being a good person? Having a big heart. I just have the most cleverest idea for a line ever of all time. Our hearts are bigger than our feet. Stop. Just quit. Just go be a producer. Don't be a writer anymore. Cut it out. Stop it. Get out of there. Get away from Lord of the Rings. Don't ever touch anything written by Tolkien ever again. What is wrong with you? You need to go to the corner and sit down. Our hearts are even bigger than our feet, and then looking directly in the camera like, our hearts are even bigger than our feet. This is like in the previous trailer where they had the Galadriel chick look directly in the camera and say, you have not seen what I've seen.
It is over.
You have not seen what I've seen.
I have seen my share.
And then she says again, you have not seen what I've seen.
You have not seen what I have seen.
Come on, you need to get rid of these hacky lines. The first thing that you should do whenever you're adapting a Lord of the Rings property is go over the script with a fine-tooth comb, look for stupid things, look for over-the-top member berries references, because I don't want to see any of that nonsense, and cut that out of the script. Not put it on display in your trailer for people across the world to see. That's horrible. It's embarrassing. Cut it out. Don't do it. You did it already. It's in the trailer. No wonder this has so many dislikes. So again, they cut to a bunch of different generic images, and to be fair, all these images look crisp, they look very cinematic, and that's what you would expect from a $500 million show. This is not a situation like Superman 4 Quest for Peace where they give it to Canon Films, and they had a budget of $17 million when they definitely needed around 50 in order to make the movie. The movie looked cheap and all of that. The budget is there. They're committed to making this show. It's just down to the writing, down to the casting, down to the motivation of the studio to diversify this above anything else. That's just embarrassing.
Commander! Wait! No! We keep moving!
And of course, you got an image of a weak man elf falling down, and Galadriel leading the pack saying, no! We keep moving! We have to move through the winter! And also, you have a bunch of other iconography in this trailer that is really more associated with Game of Thrones, and if you pay attention to what Bezos was saying when he greenlit this series, it's that he wanted this to be Amazon's Game of Thrones series. So when you see the harsh winter and all that, you're thinking of North of the Wall, and when you see the fire on the river, the big explosion, you're thinking of the Battle of the Blackwater, which is all horrible because, again, the Lord of the Rings is not supposed to be Game of Thrones, but you could see the influence of hack writers trying to grub off of Tolkien in order to make a George R. R. Martin adaptation, trying to pull all that stuff in there, and it's just not a thing that should be meshed. It's not a thing that works. Game of Thrones, A Song of Ice and Fire, is written as kind of a response to Lord of the Rings, so making Lord of the Rings like Game of Thrones, even with these visual things, not into it. Just stop. Cut it out. What's wrong with you?
There is a tempest in me!
Again, the trailer just closes on a generic crescendo. I'm not into it, but what I am into are the comments under this trailer. There's one about how when Galadriel pulls the sword out of the thing and she shouted Wakanda forever, I got chills down my spine. Way better than anything Tolkien could have written. Another comment goes as follows. When the Hobbit said his heart was bigger than his feet, I clapped. Tolkien was an absolute genius. Our hearts are bigger than our feet. What amazing script writing. Truly better than any speech Aragorn or anyone from the original Lord of the Rings trilogy. Man, the moment when Anakin looked at at Jon Snow and told him, with great power comes great younglings, stunning and brave. Truly the addition of the hit song All-Star by the legendary band Smash Mouth, as covered in this piece by Will Smith, really brings out the thematic legacy of Tolkien and infuses it with a more modern sensibility. A great synthesis of old and new. Yep, what a concept. Honestly, the comments are so good and so enjoyable, it almost makes this trailer being so bad worth it. It's actually giving me joy in Lord of the Rings when I already didn't need to see any more adaptations of Lord of the Rings. So I really appreciate the people hammering Amazon on this, making fun of this, and mocking the people who are saying, well, 100% of the reviews given out to people who were the kind of people Amazon wanted to have screeners are good. And by the way, there's actually a funny video by John Campea, who used to be the guy at AMC Movie Talk and used to be the guy at Collider Video. And in this video, he reads a bunch of the reviews to show people how positive it is. But one of the things that's hilarious about somebody gathering all these reviews together is that they all hit on the exact same notes, and some of them use the exact same words, the exact same verbiage, as if the people who were given screeners by Amazon were also given talking points in addition to those screeners.
The Lord of the Rings Rings of Power is an achievement in cinematic storytelling that redefines what's possible for television. The Rings of Power's gigantic scope and ambition are unveiled on TV, are unrivaled on TV. Rings of Power is cinematic excellence. The scale of the story has never been done before. The Rings of Power is truly an impressive feat. I've seen the first 2 episodes of Rings of Power. Yes, it's as visually stunning as the trailer promises. I've seen the first 2 episodes of Lord of the Rings of Power. It is stunningly gorgeous to look at. The 2 episodes of Rings of Power are in, and so far, so good. The production value is pretty remarkable. One breathtaking visual after the next.
Now, there's a lot of people that call Campea a shill and all of that, and he's not a favored reviewer on the internet.com, but I do think a lot of that's a bit overstated. Before, and he's been honest about this, when he was doing AMC Movie Talk, he wouldn't give bad reviews to movies released in AMC theaters due to the conflict of interest. So he's actually been open about the fact that he has those biases and those financial interests, and he operates based on that, which is more than I can say for a lot of other reviewers. On top of that, he's one of these guys that's overly positive. He likes a lot of things, and there is a place on the internet.com for that. So if you have somebody who's predisposed to liking things, these are the kind of people that you wouldn't even have to pay or even nudge all that much in order to get the positive coverage that you want. So even though I'm featuring him reading some of these reviews in my video, I don't want to go over the top and knock Campea too much, because even though it's not my cup of tea, I'm not really into it. I disagree with a lot of his opinions. I think he's way too much on the side of the big studios. I don't think that all of that is completely disingenuous. I think that these people actually exist out there in the world, and studios seek out the people that align with them more than they actually pay people to agree with them. Now, there's also other circumstances where people are paid and given screeners and given perks and flown out and all that, and the impression, at least informally, even if they're not explicitly paying them, is that, hey, if you want us to treat you well and give you early access to all this stuff, which ends up making you money, then maybe go a little soft on our stuff. Maybe give us some positive reviews. We all know that there's a pay-to-play scheme in some of these areas, and that's why 100% of the reviews are positive. But hey, those are just my thoughts. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below of this video. If you like the video, show them by leaving a like, subscribe for more content, follow me on all my social media, support me via the support links in the description box of this video. This has been me talking about the Amazon trailer and briefly touching on some of the reviews. Till next time.